So the first book that I'm reviewing is actually not a book, and what I mean by that, it's a book of short stories, and by short I mean 20 pages or so. But although there's some that are 10 or less, things like that. But what I'm going to talk about tonight is Robert E. Howard's Conan the Cimmerian. Now, Conan the Cimmerian, um, the short background I had to know about this is that this is a Pulp Fiction kind of story. And by Pulp Fiction, I'm not referring to the movie. I'm referring to the genre from way back then, and like even before the 30s and things like that. They were just cheap, thrilling adventure stories that you can buy for a dime or so. They were magazines or just really cheap books, and a lot of them were precursors to many things like superheroes, like The Shadow and things like that. And Zorro too was a dime novel, and you could get it for a dime and things like that. But Conan, Robert E. Howard, they say, sort of invented his own subgenre of pulp fiction that was sword and sorcery. Now, sword and sorcery is the exact opposite of Lord of the Rings. When you read Lord of the Rings, it's this huge, grand epic that refers to things from other books that you'd need to read, and they say things, and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Right? Just sing songs about things that, you know. Sword and sorcery is not like that at all. Sword and sorcery is basically just adventure in the fantasy world, and that's kind of what I like about this book is that it's just stories of Conan being Conan, just fucking bitches and taking names. Now, although that's not entirely, I shouldn't say that because Conan, I think, is a very misunderstood kind of character. When you think of Conan, you think of Conan the Barbarian. You think of Conan, the huge fucking ripped guy who's so dumb and he just wants to punch people to a pulp. Um, he's not entirely like that. Conan is, it's not that he's dumb, it's that he wishes to solve problems directly. Just why can't we just fight them? Why can't we just, get rid of, what's just all this politics? Um, and he does have his weaknesses, like magic. Magic. He's afraid of magic. He doesn't understand it, and women, for one thing, is also another weakness of his. Like, there's this one story where, legit, it's only like 5 pages or so, and it's just about him. He just finished a battle with the Vikings, and he runs into like an ice goddess or whatever you want to call it, and he just chases her, and she escapes, and that's it. And, but it's Stephen King, for one. He was inspired by Robert E. Howard's writing because it's very dark and gritty. And I noticed that Robert likes to use the word brooding a lot, or some variation of the word brooding. Like everything's a brooding silence, or that this was brooding over that. And I recommend it if you like fantasy but don't want to get into, like, how you pick up a fantasy book and it's like book one of the 25 epic part fucking fuck of just fuck that just happens and it just keeps on going, like Robert Jordan or something like that. Um, but yeah, if you just want to read fantasy and you just want quick adventure, that's good. Um, then get Conan the Cimmerian. And there's a bunch of Conan books out there. This one is nearly $17, but they have other variations. Just don't get the one with the movie poster from the last movie that they did. I haven't seen it, but I bet it's horrible. And they're actually making another movie out of other, because Robert E. Howard did other characters, and one of them was Solomon Kane, who was this awesome character who was like a Puritan slash badass who killed fucking demons and shit like that. And they're making a movie out of that too, which I bet is going to be horrible. But yeah, there we go with Conan. The Coming. the coming of Conan the Cimmerian, because he's coming. Right, anyway. And then, sorry, my wine wanted to kiss me there for a moment, but the drink that I'm having tonight is Barefoot Cabernet Sauvignon. Barefoot's really good, and it's really cheap. It's only like $10 or less, and that's Barefoot. In case you know, like one of these things. You know, that's quite literally the icon for the Barefoot. The logo is an actual barefoot. So yeah, there is my book and my drink for tonight.